How you doing, Ken?
Number one's back.
Mate, you sound like you're underwater, Ken.
Well, I'm not, as you can see.
How are you?
I'm brilliant. What about you?
I'm all right. What top you got
Floriantina.
on? Yeah. How, c-
Yeah.
how come you've
Batistuta.
how come you've not got a Cork City on?
Well, I'm not from Cork, so I'm not from Ireland. I'm a completely different country, Russell. I'm from Northern Ireland.
Oh,
Cork's about 300 mile away from.
was it?
Yeah.
It's the only team I know over there and banger. Uh, right, Ken, let's just get straight into action here. Derek War Chisora, what's going on?
You know what, Russell? I'm gonna go against the narrative. I'm gonna go against the narrative, and to be honest with you, I'm gonna be brutally honest here. I think we give Derek a wee bit too much stick at times. In an age where there's misfit boxing constantly on the zone, which
Yeah,
isn't boxing. You've got YouTubers like Fake Paul coming on and stealing pay per view money and getting exposure that other fighters should be getting. With now that this Saudi thing's happened, smaller boxing shows don't seem to matter anymore. There isn't as much. There actually isn't as much boxing on TV now with these mega cards. So you look at Derek Chisora, he's fought he's fought 18 12 round fights over his career and six world champions. He's fought everyone. It's yes, he's lost multiple times, like multiple times, but he's always come back and got opportunities. Now, yeah, he's past it. I actually think he was past it probably probably from the Marcel Nastarenko fight, which was brutal. That was probably one of his last fights with Frank Warren. But in an age where you look at the likes of Conor Ben, who hasn't fought for an area, British, Commonwealth, European, and get into this mega money fight against Eubank Jr. He's fought everyone. He hasn't ducked anyone at all. And I think, has he passed it? Yes, he is. But look what he done to Otto Wallin. Tyson Fury didn't do that to Wallin. Anthony Joshua didn't drop Wallin. Look what Dale Boy done, and he's been shot for about 10 years.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you on.
I think he deserves, like, I know we give him a bit of stick and all, and we'll have a bit of banter about him, but I'm going against the narrative. I'm actually going to give him a bit of credit. He's fought everyone in his era. And I'm gonna put it out there right now, right? And I don't care what people in the comment section say. I don't really care what anyone says anyway. I've got my opinion, and if people don't like it, so what? But you look at it. You look at the fighters he's lost to. Look at the fighters he's beat, and look at the fighters he's rematched. He's actually a better resume, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua.
Yeah. Who's Chisora's best win
No
on
doubt.
paper?
Best win in paper, you'd have to say.
Cooler.
Uh, well, you look back and you look at the start when Sam Saxton was on a real good run. He was doing really well. He was British. He was Commonwealth champion. He had those great fights against Martin Rogan, who was on a real high at the time. And I tell you, Martin Rogan from Belfast is one tough man. Like, really, people forget how tough a man that Rogie was. Saxton beat him twice. Then it was Derek got that opportunity to fight for British at Commonwealth, and Derek beat him. So I think that was a great win way back. That was the win that got him kind of established in that and title as a title fighter, as a 12 round championship fighter. No, he's had 18 scheduled 12 round fights. Like that's something else, Russell.
Yeah, yeah. What did you think?
And as well, he went 12 rounds with Vitaly Klitschko. Like that that itself, then with Vitaly, that Vitaly was a wrecking ball at that time, like a wrecking ball heavyweight. You look high strong. You look at the fight Vitaly give. You look at the fight Vitaly give Lennox Lewis. You know, and Derek just seemed to be able to stand in with him and actually went toe to toe with him. That took some balls. So it did, Russell.
It wasn't a close fight though. If you look at the punch statistics and the state,
No, I'm not. I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying it was even anywhere near it. But he actually stood in front of Vitali and had a
took a
fight with him.
beating.
Like
Let's have it right. It was 13
as I
years
say,
ago, Kent, and we've got Bricktop going on about. Well, he went 12 rounds with Italy and Caballel. That was 8 years ago, and Bricktop said he should have retired then. And they're digging him up, and I have a problem with it. They're digging Chisora up, and now we've got Juggy as Spencer Oliver leading the charge for one last world title shot for him and getting in the ring and putting pictures of of fights that he wants, that he knows are big fights, but he's not deserving of them. His best win is Pulev, an old man in his 40s, and he lost. He just fluked a split because we said it was his send-off fight, the last dance. Now we've just had another last dance, and now we're going to get another. Every fight's a last dance.
well, he sells tickets. You look at everywhere he goes, he sells tickets, and he sells tickets. He's going to get opportunities, and you know that, and that's what boxing's about. He gets numbers on TV, and like many pay per view fights, as Derek Chisora had as well. You know, with multiple losses, I think his popularity. Now, I'm not saying does he deserve a world title fight. No, he doesn't. But he's that was an IBF eliminator the other night, and it looks like he's going to fight the winner of the Bob Parker.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he hasn't actually failed the drugs test like most heavyweights out there.
Oh, Chisora. Wow, are we applauding fighters, Kent, now for not being a doper?
Well, it looks well.
It's his
How
job
many
not to
fighters are
take
failing
drugs.
tests?
It's his job, Kent, not to take drugs.
Well, it's his job to fight. He's getting offered fights. If he's going to get a big money fight in Saudi now, which it looks like he is going to get, well, he's going to take it, isn't he?
Yeah. What do you think to his performance?
I thought he was a bit smarter. I thought his balance was a lot better. I think his balance was a lot better than it was 3, 4 years ago.
Well,
I
against
think he's
Walling,
actually
Ken.
working.
Ken, we're talking Walling here.
I know that. I've slated Wallen on here for years. I thought Wallen lost to Kamel Sakalalski 3 years ago on a boxer show. I thought his performance against AJ was dreadful, and I mean dreadful. So I know it's Otto Wallen. I'm not saying that I'm not coming out and saying that Otto Wallen was Ernie Shivers. I just thought he has made improvements from his previous fights, like that fight against Jared Washington. Like I could not believe how bad Chisora was in that fight.
You're sounding
So
a bit
from that,
mumbled. Ken, stop. Let me stop you. You're sounding a bit mumbled. I don't know if is it a connection?
could be my headset.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me just point this out to you, Ken. Right. Otto Wallen and the is it Paul Dempsey were pretty embarrassing comparing Del Boy to
Awful,
Ernie Shavers and George Foreman. But let me just say this when it started going on.
awful, awful.
Let me just say this, Ken. Right, when he were going on about Wallen's CV and that, we are now in. We're spring next month, 2025. Wallen fought Fury in 2019. So, 5, 6 years ago, it's a long time. 5, 6 weeks is a long time for heavyweights in boxing. Look at the size of Tyson Fury. Now he's 23 stone, I'm hearing. Do you know what I mean? They blow up like balloons, these people. So people need to stop going on about Walling pushed Fury all the way. How many rounds did he win? 2. Come on. It is craziness. Are you there, mate?
What do you want me to say? I'm saying that he actually pushed Fury back. Did he win many rounds? Probably two or three. Probably two or three. But I'm going, you're asking me on Dale Boy's performance.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was a better performance than it was 2 or 3 years ago. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Otto Wallen was a world class heavyweight. He's not. But was it a better performance from Derek Chisora than previous performances? Yeah, it was. Will he beat Dubois? No, he will not. No chance. Absolutely no chance. Will he win that fight? Will he beat Joseph Parker? Well, he's already lost 2 fights to him, so he'll not beat him either. Will it be a big payday for him? Yeah, it will be. You'd be mad not to take it.
Yeah. What did you think to him bowling in ring at end and holding Spencer Brown's hand and all that? What is all that about? Everybody wants to hold hands with these people linked to Turkey, don't they?
The only thing I liked about it at the end was he honoured John Oliver, his first coach at Finchley. That was nice. He was honouring him, his first ever coach, which was nice. He showed him a lot of respect. But after that, I actually went home after that. It was going on a wee bit too much. The whole thing about putting up. There's no way that he's going to fight Usyk again. Why would Usyk want to fight Derek Chisora? AJ, I can see it probably as plausible, even though there has to be something there that was Chisora not managed, or is he still not managed? Still by AJ's promotional company. You would have to look into that. Would there be a fight with Dubois? Well, he's IBF. That was eliminator. Don't know if it was a final eliminator. It was billed as eliminator, but it looks like he's going to get another. When they're talking, the way the language was for weeks, it was the last dance, as in the last fight. Then it changed from the last fight in the UK. So it kind of tells me that no, it's not his last fight. He is going to fight again, probably another 2 or 3 times, possibly in foreign soil.
Yeah, it's what is it with this Finchley boxing thing? It's like we're all Finchley, aren't we? Everybody goes into bat for them, all these media guys, and it's like Simon, who runs Porky's Corner Facebook, were telling me last night. Liverpool lost to Plymouth Argyle, didn't they? And we've got Lee Dixon and whoever saying, "Oh, Plymouth have just beat the best team in Europe and all that." They put the babies out to play Plymouth, didn't they? There were no big guns in team, were they? And half that team will be sacked in summer.
Well, to be honest with you, Plymouth have conceded more goals in top flight football than any team in the English Championship and Premier League. The team that Liverpool put out yesterday are still levels and levels and levels and levels above that Plymouth team. Like that Liverpool team that they put out yesterday should have beat that team 5-0, but they didn't. And that's just the nature of football. In an ideal world, if you're on a slot and you say, right, you're going to come into Liverpool this year Uh, there could be a possibility of winning a treble, as in the Premier League, Champions League, and the FA Cup. Would you do it? Would you take that? And he would say, of course, absolutely. Where I just think Plymouth needed a bit of credit. They defended really well. Their goalkeeper looked fantastic. Like, I always say, a team that's conceding a lot of goals, goalkeeper's probably going to be pretty good because they're getting shots hit at them quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I think Plymouth deserve a bit of credit that, the Liverpool team that they put out yesterday are still levels and levels and levels above Plymouth Argyle. So I think it was a good performance from Plymouth,
I'm
and,
not
and
happy
fair
with
play.
Nunes. I'm not happy with Nunes coming off at pitch, laughing and joking. You've just been knocked out of the FA Cup.
I don't think I think at this I think Nunes will be away in the summer, Russell. You look at the competition that Liverpool have and the attacking options that they have right now. I can't see a future for Nunes in the summer. Not when you've like even Luis Diaz isn't first choice now. So that says it all about the attacking options. That even Connor Bradley isn't the first choice player. Who for me, I think he's a countryman of mine, but I think Connor Bradley walks into any other Premier League team right now.
Yeah, well,
Walks in.
fuck Connor Bradley. We're getting back to Finchley now. Is it a retirement home now, Finchley, for boxers? Chisora, Joshua, all jug ears, and all the rest of them all going into bat for the mates. I'm fed up of it. It's driving me mad. I'm going to have an ulcer. What do you think, Kent?
Well, I was a bit harsh on Connor Bradley there, Russell. There's no need for that. Like,
Kent, I'm only pulling your leg. It's a bit of banter, mate. Don't take it to heart.
the essentially thing, it's this thing. I think it's just that romanticism in the media and boxing. And to be honest with you, I don't really know too much about Finchley other than Spencer Alvar's dad's a coach there and helps out with the club. So I don't really know anything other than Derek Chisora and John Oliver at the club. So I can't really rinse a bunch of guys that are actually volunteering and trying to get people off the streets.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, this is how I look at it, right? When you've got the Gad and Juggies on Talksport coming out saying Derek Chisora's a genius and this and that, it's starting to do my head in because Chisora, for me, Kent, he needs saving from himself.
Well, the God's been doing my head in for about 10 years, Russell. Never mind just talking about Derek Chisora. So, who's he moved on to now that he doesn't need Fury anymore? He used Tyson Fury for years. I suppose Tyson Fury used him. And I suppose it's a talking point, but, to go as far to say that Derek Chisora is a genius. He's tough. He's brave. He won that fight. He's going to get a big payday, but that's as far as I'm going to go about it. He has fought absolutely everyone. He's, as I say, he's won British, come off European. He's fought everyone. He's had 18 12-round fights. What more is there for me to say on that? Of course that they, talking like that for them is basically keeping them and to give themselves something to do as their job. What else? If they're not talking about Tyson Fury being the greatest heavyweight ever, now Derek Chisora is a genius. And to be fair, I don't actually listen to any more interviews from the guy. I just think I'm just sick listening to him. So I am. I don't. I'm not going to subject myself to that nonsense.
Yeah, yeah. I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. What do you think to Barry McGuigan coming out saying that he can see Chisora Dubois happening?
Well, it doesn't take a genius to work it out. It was an IBF eliminator, so it was. I think if you look at what's happening in the heavyweight division, I think Warren will want Dubois to hold the title for a considerable amount of time. I think what Warren will want down the line will be a Moses Atama and Dubois fight. So what do they need to do in the meantime? Well, they need to make it easy for him. They need there needs to be fights for him that he's going to look really devastating in. And I think it would have been either Otto Wallin or Derek Chisora would be a safe bet for Daniel Dubois. You look at the heavyweights that's coming through. There's a phase there of fighters like Torres from America, Moses Tama over in the UK. Jabalov is coming back, the double Olympic champion. He was meant to fight at the weekend. You've got that nucleus of heavyweights there who aren't going to be maybe ready for, well, with the exception of Moses Atama for a couple of years. So it's basically just now about feeding Dubois, making him look spectacular, and keeping him in Saudi.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's yeah. Before we move on to start talking about the rest of stuff that's been happening, I managed to read Frampton's book.
What do you think of it?
Well, he's your obviously you've grown up with Carl Frampton, haven't you? Uh, well, if it's I don't really know what to say really, but obviously the main bits obviously that is the financials with that lot, aren't they? McGuigan's. If is that all true? Do you think then, Kent? Yeah,
Well, he said it in a book, Russell.
yeah.
It's like if he said it in a
And he's
book
not been
and he's
sued, has
got
he?
proof,
Not been sued, has he?
not been sued. They went to court. There was a settlement, but he said that in a book. And if he said that in a book, do you honestly think now that book was released last November?
Yeah.
That book was released last November and it sold really, really well. Like really well. I think it sold better than they expected. And Carl Frampton hadn't been sued yet for it. I think it says it all. I think it's a fantastic book. Actually, I think it's a
What do you,
fantastic book about his life and his career and after. I think it's a really uplifting book. It's a brilliant book, fantastic book.
Ken? What do you? What's the general feeling then over your way about his book?
Everybody, any of my mates, I think it's a fantastic book. I think Carl's got a lot of traction and a lot of, you
Mm,
know, I don't think McGuigan in my with you look at my generation with people who grew up watching Carl and know Carl, from the circles of boxing and actually knowing Carl's family. I actually know Carl's family and they're brilliant people. And it's like you back your own, you back your friends, you back your family, you back people who you care about. And I think that's what basically how people feel about Carl Frampton. I think people were absolutely sickened on how Carr was being treated by the McGuigans. It was disgraceful. I think they were basically living off Carl Frampton. They got a TV deal off Carl Frampton. They had a promotional company of Carl Frampton. And look how they treated him. It was absolutely disgraceful. And to be honest with you, I grew up as a fan of Barry McGuigan. And I've met Barry several times. And I've actually never met anyone as rude in all my life as Barry McGuigan. I honestly, that saying where they say don't meet your heroes. Well, that came true, and I was absolutely sickened by McGuigan. So, as a person, McGuigan, for me, not my type of person. As a pundit on TV, he's brilliant. He really knows boxing. But as a person, uh, He's not my type of person. Now Shane, to be honest with you, I've met Shane several times, and I always thought Shane was a really nice guy, a gentleman, unlike his father.
You see, money does strange things to us now. I know Barry sued Barney Eastwood twice and lost both times, didn't he? Now, him and Frampton got at it in court and he settled out of court. So, as a great a fighter as Barry was and as good a trainer as Shane uh, is it safe to say that they're not to be trusted around a pound now? Are they cunning like foxes?
Well, I wouldn't trust him.
Well, after
And to
reading
be
that,
fair, not that I wouldn't trust him. I actually wouldn't actually want to be around his company anyway. Outside of that, if you're not my type of person, uh, you're not going to be. I'm not going to be in your company, and you're not going to be in mine. That's just to be blunt about it.
what do you think to the rumours
If
that Ben?
I
What do you think to rumours that Ben Whittaker has gone to Shane McGuigan?
I don't think it's the training thing. Is it? Well, the whole Joby Clayton thing is didn't work out with AJ, did it? It's not going to work out with. I think somebody is arrogant and with an ego like Ben Whittaker. I don't think no matter who it is, it's going to be training you. You're going to be the exact same. I think the whole thing with Ben Whittaker has actually finished Sky. Sky are actually done right now. I
Yeah.
think Sky are on their back. You know, I look today there that they've lost more fighters. They've lost obviously Taylor, Josh Taylor's come back out of retirement. He's going to fight for Queensbury now. Well, he was kind of with Queensbury before, but he went to boxer. Jimmy TKV, the heavyweight that Johnny Nelson looked after for a while, he's away from boxer. And you just Chris Eubank isn't with boxer anymore, and you're just thinking, who has boxer got now to be a flagship fighter for them? Who is a flagship fighter? You know, Ben Whittaker in that fight, that was an absolute disaster for Sky. You know, he was getting the hype, he was getting the walk-ons, and to be honest with you, he hadn't justified any of that with his boxing. Fraser Clark poleaxed. Who is there now at boxer that's going to take them forward for the next 4 or 5 years?
Well, I think Ben Shalom's goose is cooked at Sky now, isn't he?
It's done. It's really done. I think you look at this week, you have an all-female card coming up very soon, and Savannah isn't even on it. They couldn't get Savannah fight. Now, I don't know if you know. Then they've got now it's the lad. You know they've got this lad now that Shane trains in Alazim. I don't think he's all there. You know you've got Dalton Smith zone and Matchroom. You've Adam Azim now at Sky. I actually think Pierce O'Leary at Queensbury destroys the two of them. Big
Yeah.
punching Irish guy, Irish kid from. I think he smashes the both of them. I think all we're hearing is Dalton Smith and Adam Azim. Will they fight? Well, why is nobody actually talking about Pierce O'Leary? I think Pierce O'Leary would smash the two of them to pieces.
Well, the rumour doing the rounds is it could be Eddie Hills back to Sky, and he's just waiting for the moment when Ben Shalom gets sent packing.
That's mad. That's really strange because you look now at Warren and Queensbury. Now at Queensbury are in the zone. You've got the Saudis now who are involved in the zone, and you've got Eddie who doesn't really put on boxing shows in the UK now. It's it's just been a bit of a disaster for everyone. Really, it's been a disaster at the zone that basically Eddie didn't deliver for them. All he delivered was AJ getting, you know, obviously destroyed again. You know, we had multiple failed drug tests that of fighters that they were trying to build, and Warren's just sat back, built up a stable, and signed really good. You know, you look at that coup of signing Moses Atama. You know, you look at the fighters that he has coming through. Like I looked on Saturday and I watched that lad Jack Rafferty, who is fantastic. I'm so impressed with him. I'm looking forward to seeing him again. The Manchester kid trained by Steve Moyet, and he's a fantastic fighter. So you look at the depth now of on Queensbury compared to Matchroom and Boxer. There's no comparison.
No, there's he's put all his eggs in one basket with Joshua, hasn't he, really? And it's backfired, hasn't it? And Conor Ben.
Well, no punting. You know, sorry about the punt with the eggs in the one basket, but that's what it's been. They've just focused too much time and two fighters. And you know, you look now at the depth. You look at the matchroom shows, non-Saudi based matchroom shows in this last 12 months. They have been absolutely dire. They have been bloody awful.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? Shocking. What do you think to Heaney's performance, Nathan Heaney?
I've actually a really good friend of mine who Andrew, who's a big Nathan Heaney fan, and I basically said to him that I just didn't rate him. I've never rated Nathan Heaney. I never thought he was actually good enough. You know, I didn't think he was actually good enough. And I remember in fact winning that fight Denzel Bentley that I'm a big Bentley fan. Really, really, Denzel Bentley's probably my favorite fighter. And Denzel Bentley in that fight was boxing like he was on tranquilizer. You know, I don't know how Denzel, didn't stop him within 6 rounds. I think, he's got that, obviously he won the British title beating Denzel, and he had that defense against, Brad Pauls, who, no disrespect, is a domestic level fighter. Uh, and he get knocked out by him. And then he get knocked out by that guy, Kouade, on Saturday, the French fighter. You know, that French guy actually reminded me a lot of the French heavyweight used to come over and fight in the 90s, Afid Jalfi, the super featherweight. He was just stopping everybody domestically. He was a really good fighter. I just think technically, I think technique wise, fundamentally, I think he's not good enough. He's just no disrespect to him. I just think he's a really fit ticket seller, and that's me maybe not being overly harsh. I think he's a fit ticket seller, and I don't think he's a championship level fighter. I don't think he's good enough.
Okay. Uh, it's a strange one that for him because he's saying he's retiring now, isn't he?
I've just noticed the last couple of months now he's been getting a lot of media work. He speaks very well. He's very popular. He comes across really well in TV and radio. So maybe he's just broadened his horizons a bit more, and he's gonna get more obviously media work and radio work. So I think he knows himself now that beating Denzel Bentley and being British champion is his ceiling. I don't think he knows that. I don't think he never at one stage they were actually talking about Nathan Heaney fighting Yannick for the WBO middleweight title. Like Yannick for me is probably one of the most technically proficient fighters in world boxing right now. That would not well. So coming to obviously being a really good ticket seller, being really fit, speaking well, selling a lot of tickets, and win the British title. I suppose that for him, you look back in your career and you say, here, I wasn't expecting to even be fighting at champion level, never mind win the British title. I think he'll have that.
What about Anthony Yard signing for Bricktop?
Well, wasn't too far gone that they were going to, Warren and him were at each other loggerheads. I don't think he's anywhere else to go. Like, there's another disaster for Boxer. You know, the very fact that Anthony Yard now is back with Warren, where they've been disputing, obviously contracts for the last 2 years. That's a disaster for the because he was on a Boxer show recently, and to be quite honest, he looked mediocre. He looked awful. So I think it's where else does he go? Where else is he going to get money that he's going to get off Warren? I think it's like cash out now and try and get whatever you can from it. But it's just embarrassing. 1 minute, these guys are at loggerheads, the same as Warren and Hearn for years. And now obviously Yard and Tunde are straight back into camp. Lions in the camp, straight back into Queensbury.
Dream it, believe it, become it.
It's absolutely an embarrassing situation. So it is.
Not as embarrassing as Tunde offering a straightener with Pat Barrett. That's a suicide watch job, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
trying to sell
that
with
is
trainer beef, aren't they? Because Yard and Lyndon Arthur are not exactly PR men, are they, for selling fights like Tyson Fury and Chisora? So they're leaving it to trainers to get at it behind the scenes and lead us all down a merry dance, making out that there's intense beef. That's how I look at it.
well, Lyndon Arthur now is obviously with Sarland and Wasserman and Channel 5, so I don't see how he comes back in now in that third fight between them two. Yeah, it's one each. It's one each between them, but the rematch was pretty emphatic for Yard. So I don't see how there could be a rematch. It's not plausible. It'd be different if it was a really good fight and it was tight. But a rematch between them two it's not going to sell anything, is it?
Well, we've seen it twice, haven't we? Right. First one were a ball feast. Second one, he nullified it, Yard in first one. Second one, he got put on button moon. I don't think it really needs a third one, really, does it? But this is what we've got now. Repeat, 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 repeat. This is all we've got. Repeat. And I will come to that part two in a minute. But I think it's just repeat. And it's a sad indictment on boxing where we just have to keep repeating things all the time. I mean, what boxing fans were calling for that trilogy? Can you tell me, Ken? Because I want.
It's not even a fight that would be on my radar. It is dreadful. I like the very fact that the trainers are doing that. That's just a red flag right away. That the first fight was awful. The second fight was Yard just ran right through him. I don't want to see a rematch. I don't think it has any. Yeah, it's one each, but it doesn't really have any momentum. It doesn't. It's not a fight that I would want to see again. I don't think it would sell either. I don't think probably Boxer would take that fight because they don't have any other options right now. But a rematch for that fight on Queensbury on a DAZN show, you look at the fighters that they've got right now and the depth that they have. I don't see that actually happening. I think that would be a step back for DAZN, to be fair, and Queensbury.
Okay, then. Do you want to go on to part two, Kent?
Yeah.
Go on, then I'll see you on part two. Well, that were Kent. Women loving men want to be him. Any Conor Bradley fans out there who've got arse on because I said Conor Bradley? I don't care. Couldn't drop a bag of cement. There you go. But well done for Kent for sticking up for your fellow countryman. But Kent, you know and I know that he is pony. And Arnie Slot will have him on his way in the summer. Pop, pop, bang. We're on to part two now. This is Porky's Corner, and I'm the host. Peace out.